Okay, so the next question that we have on the menu today is asking us, how do we factor x squared plus 4? Factoring x squared plus 4. Okay, now the reality is this is going to be impossible to do unless we go into the complex number world, the imaginary number world, as some of you may have also heard of it. So now this has a very similar type of atmosphere as conjugates. So here we have our conjugate formula. Suppose we have like a squared minus b squared. This is the same as saying a plus b, a minus b. Because, well, if we cross multiply, we'll have a squared plus or minus ab plus ab minus b squared. And you can see that these middle terms neutralize each other, and we just get a squared minus b squared. And you can see how that all works out, right? So if we try to fit this into here, plus 4, well, we're missing the minus in the middle, so that's a little bit complicated, but we can kind of force that minus to exist if we do something like this, x squared minus 4, because we know that minus minus is going to be equal to the plus. Okay, so another way that we could write this is if we break it into its conjugates, we'll have x plus the square root of negative 4 and x minus the square root of negative 4. Okay, now I know it's very likely that you've heard something like, you can't take the square root of negative numbers. The answer, well, I hate to say it, but you actually can, because the square root of negative 1 is equal to the imaginary number I. And I is just like a variable, and given this, we can do a lot of good things. So the square root of negative 4, we could rewrite this as the square root of negative 1 times 4. And we could rewrite this as the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 4. Square root of 4, we know that's going to be 2, so we can have this as, and we know the square root of negative 1 is I, so we can have this as just 2i. Okay, so if we were to put these into our equation, this is equal to the square root of negative 4. Putting these back into our equation, we'll have this, x plus 2i, x minus 2i. Okay, now let's multiply them back together to see if this is a reasonable way to factor them together. Okay, so here to do the cross multiply, we'll have x squared plus 2, it's going to be minus, my bad, minus 2xi, and then plus 2xi, and then minus 2i, and that's all squared. So as before, you see that these two neutralize each other, and so here we're going to have x squared, and here, well, we're going to have minus, so 4 times I squared, which is equal to x squared, and keep in mind I squared is negative 1, so we can add another negative 1 term in here, minus 4 times negative 1, which is equal to x squared plus 4, because the negatives, double negative, neutralize each other into a positive. Okay, and we can see that we got exactly back to where we started. So this is the proper factorization here. But if you have not been introduced to complex numbers, and if you feel like you're not expected to know complex numbers, you could just say that this is impossible to factor, staying with only real numbers. Okay, so we have to go into the complex plane to solve this. So yeah. The above solution is good. The last line is missing a square on the I term.